Yo, lesson 4, Deep Poking University. Today I'm going to be talking about how you can level up efficiently with relatively low risk. And because of the influx of new players, I thought this would be a good video to make, as although there are a lot of ways to prog and to get max level, there are like a couple select ways to do it kind of efficiently. And if you ask somebody, they'll probably tell you you should depths farm, you should do Diluvian or Deep Bound, or you should Void Walk. And honestly, yeah, doing Diluvian and farming depths by doing Deep Bound is probably the fastest way to progress in Deep Pokken, but it does come with a lot of risk if you are a new player. And like, if you tell somebody who's been playing the game for like a couple weeks to do this, I promise you they're going to be lost, and it's really just not an optimal way for them specifically to prog. So that's why I'm making this video, to kind of help those people who kind of want to take a very low risk measure to prog. To start off with levels 1 to 6, and now this is very easy, it's just doing Trial of 1. Trial of 1, if you are a new player, is by far the best way to kind of learn how to do PvE and how to fight mobs, as you're able to just repeatedly try this over and over again, and you're kind of able to get a grasp as to how you should fight some of the mobs that you're going to fight later on. So once you have Trial of 1 down and you're level 6, this is typically when I suggest you go Songseeker, and Songseeker is located right outside the first gate, taking you to the Eastern Luminant. Now typically I stay at Songseeker from level 6 to around 12 or 13, or just until you Shrine of Order if you kind of shrine at a later level. Now the reason I think Songseeker is actually really good to farm is because there's a lot of set events there. There's a total of 4, with each of them having more than one Songseeker spawn, and there's tons and tons of like natural Songseeker spawns along that. Now a common place other people go to farm typically is Crypt of the Unbroken, which is located in Minitrisa outside of Trial. But personally, I wouldn't recommend farming there if you were like kind of a new player, and that's because of the fact that, number one, the mobs in Crypt of the Unbroken are just in Crypt of the Unbroken, being the Carbknuckles, and those can be kind of hard to kill if you are relatively low level. Like if you're level 8, you will probably die to them if you're a new player. So realistically, I think Songseeker is a way better spot to farm at, and it actually does give pretty good XP because of the amount of set events there are. There's a total of 4 set events, and along with the random events that spawn, you can kind of just cycle these over and over again until you hit around level 12. Now from level 12 to 19, this is kind of like the longest time it takes to prog, although they have been making some updates recently to make this easier. But what I do is I just farm Hive. Now I think Hive is really good because of the fact that a lot of the mobs at Hive that might be quote unquote hard are mobs that you fight in Trial of 1. And if you are a new player and you've done Trial of 1 over and over again, you kind of just know these mobs inside and out now after trying to beat them dozens of times. So being able to now stat check these mobs when they're not doing a bar to you per hit, pretty optimal to farm. There are tons of videos to teach you how to get to Hive specifically, but where I start my farm at Hive is at Fort Merit. This is because not too far from Fort Merit, there's a bridge connecting Fort Merit and Hive, and this is where a red Sharko spawns, and this is literally just a normal Sharko, except it has one specific new ability, which is the crit, not a crit, but it's like a roar that rains down the sky, that rains down swords from the sky. But you can kind of just ignore these, they don't do that much damage, and they don't like hit stun you or anything, so you could just fight the Sharko while being hit by this, and just focus on not getting kicked. Again, this is very similar to the Sharko that you fight in Trial of 1, as it's just a base Sharko with one new move, but it gives you a ton of XP and a really big chest. Now after you beat this red Sharko, going straight from it, you can cross a couple bridges, and this is when you'll meet the main Hive door, and this is where you're gonna see one of the main Thresher spawns of 3 Threshers, kind of like separate and isolated from each other. My tip to beat these events is to fight them one by one and not group them if you're at like level 13 or 15. As you level up though, like if you're level 17 or 18 and you have decent monsters, you could literally just stat check all of these 3 Threshers combined, and you could just kill them all together. It's really easy. Going right from the door though, you're going to meet another Thresher spawn. You keep going straight, and again this Thresher spawn has 3, and my tip again is to just beat them one by one. On video you could kind of see what path I'm taking, but if you keep going straight from this, again you'll see a trend of another 3 Thresher spawns. And again, I have the same tip for you guys here. Just make sure you don't try to stat check them all 3 together if you're kind of low level. Throughout that background footage of me taking that path, you can kind of see how many natural spawns actually spawn, and this kind of gives you an idea as to how common the events are. And because of the large amount of just natural events, you're able to kind of just cycle the fixed events, being the Sharko and the 3 Threshers, over and over again, and this gives you really good XP with, again, relatively very low risk. The only risk here is, number one, the mobs, which you should easily be able to beat because you've done Trial so many times and because you're able to stat check them to a degree, and number 2, Voidwalkers. But with Voidwalkers, you could kind of just run around Hive, and like it's kind of very easy to avoid them because either Moz will take aggro to them, making really cancer to chase you, or if you do hear them, you could literally just log. My tip to avoid void walkers is to just go in a very low pop server, and typically you don't ever really get void walked. One other thing to add while you're farming at Hive is there is an owl spawn straight from the gate, and this does give you pretty good XP and really good chest, although owls can be kind of intimidating for new players, so you could kind of avoid this and instead take advantage of the fact that you could TP to the Great Hive Airtel if you go a little bit past it. Now, the Great Hive Airtel lets you TP to Lower Arisia, back to Hive, and then to Summer, and it also has everything you would ever need to prog. It has all the training equipment, it has a mantra table, has Antiquarian, you can level up your physical mantras here, has multiple campfires, and it also has a blacksmith. So yeah, that's pretty much it for my leveling guide. Again, please keep in mind, this is for people who are relatively new to the game. Obviously, if you want to prog the fastest, Diluvian would be more optimal, but no player that's been playing the game for a very short amount of time is doing Diluvian solo to prog, or they might not have people to do it with. So that's why I recommend these spots. That's it though, peace out.